everybody. It's Jessica Stone at Stansberry Research, and I've got John Engel on the line. He, of course, is the editor of the Stansberry Innovation Report, someone who looks deep into a lot of science and technology for good investments. And one of the points he's been making recently is just the how to leverage what you're learning about the coronavirus to find good investment opportunities. In particular, you've been looking, John, at the faster drug approval process, right?
So there's a couple of ways that the FDA, for instance, can increase the speed at which therapies and drugs are approved. And just a couple of those ways are number one, fast track designation. And there's also breakthrough designation, which is also sort of related to fast track designation. But essentially, when a medicine is really required to solve a disease, the FDA can give it one of these designations, which increases the speed at which the FDA reviews the drug. Mm-hmm. And it also obviously means faster approval. So typically it might take 18 months in review, whereas a breakthrough drug could receive the same review in about 6 months.
And how does it affect the cost of that process? Does it make it less costly as well for the company to get that drug through all of the hoops it has to go through to get to market?
Exactly. I think one of the things we'll see, especially with coronavirus, is that there's only a certain amount of people that can be enrolled in these trials. And typically on a phase 3 trial, for instance, you need thousands and thousands of people to prove efficacy and to prove safety. And I think as we sort of work our way through this coronavirus problem, I think that less patients will be required by the FDA and by regulators to prove efficacy and safety for some of these trials.
So when we're talking about the kinds of drugs and therapies that can benefit from this process, what are we looking at there?
Obviously, we're looking at therapeutics. These would be drugs that can treat the disease after you've been infected. Remdesivir is one of those drugs approved for emergency use authorization. We're also looking at vaccines. I think the long-term solution to this problem is going to be a widespread vaccine, and we've got hundreds of those vaccines in development as we speak.
So, John, how should investors play off this information? I mean, for example, you and I were talking about how the drug hydroxychloroquine was first fast-tracked by the FDA and then just recently taken off the fast-track list. So you can't necessarily say that a drug that goes on that list is going to be a good investment because you don't know if it's going to stay there.
Yeah, so if you think about the drug development pipeline, you think about, all right, a drug needs to go through clinical trials, it needs to go through R&D, and then once all of those pieces are set in place, the pharmaceutical companies start thinking about manufacturing. So one of the best ways, I believe, to benefit from this big rush of new treatments coming to market is to invest in something called a contract development manufacturing organization. These are the companies that partner with some of the big pharmaceutical companies. They create protocols for manufacturing, and they create large-scale manufacturing of these developmental drugs. So if you've got a scenario where you've got a rush of new treatments and new vaccines coming to market, the CDMOs are the obvious risk-averse way to play this trend.
All right. Thanks so much, John Engel, for your perspective on how to leverage what we're learning about coronavirus to become better and wiser investors. And if you would like to see much more content just like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.